Hello, it's Henry Katarna, the Catholic CEO. Welcome to this Catholic Business Wisdom series. Topic today on the charity. In the last few sessions, we've been going over various structures of business, corporate structures, not-for-profit structures. And today's topic on the charity is going to be a specific topic that we're going to delve into. Now, first thing I'd like to say is that the charity is a typical structure. It's a not-for-profit corporate body. That means it's registered, it has legal entity, it has all the rights and privileges and responsibilities and duties of a corporate structure. And depending on the country you're in, there's different processes for registering it and for continuing it. But generally speaking, it's a corporate body that will be governed by a board, and it'll have staff to carry out its goals, and it will be focused on a particular mission or a priority or a subject matter. Couple of things about the charity. If you're organized as a 501c3 in the American system, you're going to have some rights, and that includes the right to raise funds and to conduct activities, but not necessarily to engage in political activities, lobbying, and so on. A 501c4, on the other hand, allows a different kind of privilege with respect to lobbying for a political position. So there's a difference between raising money for a charitable purpose to give to the poor or to conduct activities in a certain field versus lobbying for legislative change in that area. And I'm sure you can see the difference. And that's why in the American system, you have a difference in corporate authority. And there's a similar provision in most other countries, although sometimes it's within the same legislation and it is a set of privileges and rights and responsibilities. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that a charity will generally have a cause or a mission that's rather narrowly defined. If you're going to contribute to, the Heart Fund or the diabetes research or some sort of a, save the trees, save the birds, that type of activity, you're going to have a narrowly defined mission because you want to attract support for that mission and you want to attract financial support particularly so that you can do your good works and your activities. If it's too broadly based as a structure, you're not going to attract any kind of donations or funds. So that's a point about the cause or a mission. It's generally in a charity much more narrowly defined than, let's say, a corporation that's in business to sell products and services. It might have a wide range of products and services, but inside of a charity, you're going to have a rather narrow function. So what is the general system of decision-making within the charity? I would say several steps. One is, first of all, you'd have to, number one, inform your public about your strategy and your mission. And that would be a public relations strategy. It could take the form of social media, websites, publications, speeches, talks, and so on, all the usual things. Secondly, you're going to be concerned then about the ask. What are you asking for? Are you asking for financial support? Are you asking for moral support? Are you asking for information? Are you asking for action on the part of people? So number two, the ask. And then number three, you will want to have clarity on the use of the funds. You can have a very nicely targeted, narrowly focused mission. You can have a PR strategy to inform people and to draw people towards you. You can have a specific ask, but at the same time, you'll have to have clarity on how those funds will be used. Today, the standards are much higher, and so people will be very interested to know how are you going to exactly use those funds responsibly and with purpose and with a good ROI, not only the return on investment, but the return on social enterprise or concepts like that. The charity will have registered tax status. And so within the United States, in the IRS, or within Canada with the CRA, you're going to find that there are some rules about how to register that charity and how to get the permissions from your governments in order to be able to raise funds and issue income tax receipts so that people can deduct the donations from their tax return. And so you have a tax status that is granted, but it's a fairly rigorous process. It can be short or long, depending on the jurisdiction. The point is, it can give you the permission to actually raise the funds and issue a tax receipt. It doesn't mean that you only can raise funds with the tax status of your particular government. But if you're going to attract funds, most people don't give donations unless they are going to get an income tax receipt for them, at least at the small level. When we're talking trusts and large millions and millions of dollars of bequests, there's a whole other set of conventions and protocols and rules that apply to them. The donations that you receive in a charity are of two types. One is what I call a defined purpose. In other words, the donor gives you money and they want it to go to, this care home or that type of heart research or that type of diabetes research. These are often called restricted funds. There's also a general purpose dollar amount that is donated by people towards a more general cause that is not defined, or in some technical terms, unrestricted funds. You might also have in a charity, as you would in any other not-for-profit or even in the corporate world, you'd have the ability to raise revenue from several different types of events, let's call them. So you might have galas or auctions or dinners or lunches or speaker series, that sort of thing. We can raise funds in our charities from these kinds of activities. We can also sell products or services, and you will see on many charities that there's a catalog or a store where you can buy merchandise or professional documentation or almost anything, really. You can also, depending on the tax rules, but generally they're very applicable, you can receive shares in companies, you can receive land or other financial instruments. A little bit more complicated because you'd have to have the capacity to manage those. But I'm sure you're familiar with donations, for example, to seminaries or to Catholic organizations where, they will say if you have a bequest, you can leave your life insurance proceeds, or you can leave shares in companies to us, or you can, donate land. And so there's a long-term effect in some cases as well. These are all revenue sources that are legitimately authorized under the charitable status. A couple of cautions that I would have in this brief treatment of the charity as a corporate structure. Number one, it is very important to consider the depth and level of political activities. If you take political positions and you're trying to lobby governments to change their position, it's unlikely that you're going to get permission to be a registered charity and receive funding unless you're registered as for example, a 501c4, which allows you to do that, but which has other restrictions on you. Cautionary note number one, political activities. Number two, the level of due diligence to avoid scandal or fraud or any concern about such things would be that there's a higher standard of governance required and a higher standard of professional behavior on the part of staff and the use of funds and the research or the type of information provided about the organization. So there you have it in a nutshell, a little bit of a treatment of the charity. It's the Catholic CEO, Henry Katarna. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.